بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Allah says in the Quran, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين كفروا بعضهم أولياء بعض إلا تفعلوه تكن فتنة في الأرض وفساد كبير. Respected scholars, elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As difficult as it is to move on with life, knowing what's happening around the world, to our brothers and sisters in Palestine and elsewhere, we have to remind ourselves that these events are critical for us to be able to make an impact in the world, for us to be able to give the next generation some hope, some light, to emulate individuals and exemplars like Lady Zaynab alayha salam. We've heard many virtues of Lady Zaynab alayha salam throughout our lives. We are all aware of her dedication to her faith, her exemplary character. She was known to be one who loved worship to the extent that she never left a nafilah, a recommended prayer, even on the eve after Ashura. Imagine in those moments, having such love for Allah, love of worship, that even on that night, as difficult as it was, she found peace in worship, peace in serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We see that she was also eloquent, delivering sermons in Kufa and in Sham. She was a source of knowledge for the people of Kufa, for the women. She memorized the entire Quran, and she understood the Quran and taught tafsir in Kufa. We look at, there's different qualities that we can list, and it's very difficult to just mention a few. We'll be doing injustice to Lady Zaynab alayha salam, but inshallah we'll benefit from our other panelists and scholars. I want to make a connection so that we don't misrepresent the importance or undermine the importance of the proper upbringing, the strength of the home environment, and what connection and what impact and what effect it can have for someone later on in life. It is not a coincidence that Lady Zaynab alayha salam had such qualities. She was raised in the family of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. She witnessed the Prophet enter her home because she lived 5-6 years with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alih. And she learned from her mother Fatima alayhi salam. She is one of the narrators of her famous Fadak sermon, Al-Khutbah al-Fadakiyya. She memorized the sermon. Imagine as a 6-year-old girl memorizing the sermon and being the narrator of that powerful sermon Lady Fatima gave. It's not a coincidence that later on she would also deliver such an impactful sermon later on in life. That we see that she learned from her father, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, the courage and bravery. It is not a coincidence that later on we would see strength and resilience in the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala. Brothers and sisters, I want us to learn from the life of Lady Zaynab alayhi salam the importance of family and the importance of prevention. We all have heard the saying, prevention is better than cure. Al-wiqayatu khayrun min al-ilaj. Brothers and sisters, we all know the importance of family, but we have to give much more importance and feel that sense of urgency that we start early as possible. Even when selecting one's spouse, you are making a parenting decision. When the Prophet wanted to find a suitor for Fatima Zahra alayha salam, so many men came to propose to Fatima alayha salam, and only one man was qualified to be her husband. None other than Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. On a similar note, Imam Ali alayhi salam wanted to find somebody who was deserving of someone like Lady Zaynab alayhi salam. And who did he accept? After refusing suitors, none other than Abdullah ibn Ja'far, his nephew, and Ja'far being his brother, the martyr, At-Tayyar. And so we see that the Prophet, his influence, the family of Ahlul Bayt, Imam Ali, Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, we see their role in raising Zaynab alayhi salam, and we see also the importance of child rearing and starting early on from the words of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. When he says, إِنَّمَا قَلْبُ الْحَدَثِ كَالْأَرْضِ الْخَالِيَةِ, that the heart of a youth is like uncultivated land. مَا أُلْقِيَ فِيهَا مِنْ شَيْءٍ قَبِلَتْهُ, whatever is planted in it will grow. فَبَادَرْتُكَ بِالْأَدَبِ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَقْسُوَ قَلْبُكَ وَيَشْتَغِلَ لُبُّكَ. So I rushed, so I hastened. There's a matter of urgency here, that I rushed to train you with ethics before your heart becomes hardened and your mind becomes preoccupied. There's so much emphasis on prevention. Imam Al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, بَادِرُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ بِالْحَدِيثِ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَسْبِقَكُمْ إِلَيْهِمِ الْمُرْجِئَةِ. Rush, hasten to train your child, to teach your child, to educate your child before deviant groups get to them. And we see even in marriage, the Quran highlights this point, and we've all heard this in ceremonies of weddings and marriage, when the Prophet says, إِذَا جَاءَكُم مَّن تَرْضَوْنَ خُلُقَهُ وَدِينَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. That if someone with whose faith and character comes to you in marriage, then marry him. إِلَّا تَفْعَلُوهُ تَكُنْ فِتْنَةٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَفَسَادٌ كَبِيرٌ. Allahu Akbar. In spousal selection, whom you marry will have an impact not just on your family, not just on your marriage. It will impact society. It will prevent corruption in the land, strife in the land. We are depending on each other. المؤمنون والمؤمنات بعضهم أولياء بعض. We should support one another. We should raise families, reinforcing the same values so that we give our children and our next generation a chance to be resilient like Lady Zaynab alayhi salam was. Lady Zaynab alayhi salam had all the right ingredients, all the right environment. She was prepared for marriage early on at an age that today would be considered young. But let's be honest, is it about number or is it about maturity? This is another prevention tactic. That if we want to have a proper suitor for marriage and we want to get married and we want to be a proper candidate for marriage, what is our education system doing to prepare us for marriage? The society in which we live today, all it cares about is indulgence in worldly pleasures and all it takes to be successful in your careers and our careers. And even that, they're doing a lot, not the best job. But what about preparing our youngsters? Yes, to be prepared to be successful in life. And success is not just limited to finance. That is part of success, but successful in their families, successful in their marriages, successful with their future children, in their communities, and yes, in their work, in their jobs, in all facets of life. Are we preparing our children from early on to develop those habits so that when they do become the age of marriage, that they are husband and wife material? Just because I'm a 30-year-old and I've already completed my job and I have all the finances set, that I'm automatically prepared for marriage? Abdullah and Zaynab, alayhim as-salam. We have Abdullah ibn Ja'far and we have Zaynab bint Ali. We have both of them married at a young age, yet we're ready for marriage because of their maturity level, because how they were raised. So brothers and sisters, I'll conclude with this, inshallah. Let us prioritize. Let us emphasize the importance of prevention, of having a proper upbringing. Let us learn from Lady Zaynab, those who are single. Learn from Lady Zaynab alayhi salam to be careful whom you marry. Learn, my respected sisters, to make sure that you find somebody who is befitting, who has the faith and akhlaq as the Prophet mentioned, who is a proper suitor, who is a proper compatible partner, who will be your partner in raising your child. And for the brothers, find someone like Lady Zaynab alayhi salam. We have the Prophet's narration where he says, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اختاروا لنطفكم فإن الخال أحد الضجيعين. Be careful who you marry, because, and this is speaking to the brothers, because the uncle, the maternal uncle, is also part of the upbringing. In other words, look at Abdullah bin Ja'far. He married someone who would give him a child who would be a martyr in Karbala, and who was the khal of these children? None other than Ma'soomeen, Imam al-Hassan, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Abbas. These are the akhwal, the uncles, the maternal uncles of Abdullah and Muhammad, Aoun and Muhammad, those who would die in Karbala and be martyrs alongside Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us and blesses our families, and that blesses this gathering, that inshallah we're able to think ahead and prioritize prevention over cure. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.